It's the region's most popular talk show.
The Midlands Today Show with Will Faulkner.
With Will Faulkner.
On Midlands 103.
Midlands 103.
It's time for our Friday panel, where we go through the biggest stories of the week, thrash them out, and of course invite you to submit your comments as well on 083 30 10 103. On our panel today, Attracta Mongey, EdWib chairperson and owner of Diamond and Pearls in Edenderry. Nicky McFadden is a Fine Gael TD for Longford, Westmeath, and O Flynn has already been mentioned on the programme this morning from the Westmeath Volunteer Centre. Guys, good morning. Thank you very much for coming into us.
Thanks, Phil.
Busy week. Let's start with probably the issue of greatest debate was that of David Norris and whether or not he should withdraw from the presidential race in light of what was a succession of revelations, really, but the most damning came last weekend concerning this letter of clemency he sent 14 years ago on behalf of his former partner, who was convicted of, well, terrible crimes, really, in Israel. Nicky, Fine Gael obviously want Gael Mitchell to benefit from this, but putting aside political ambitions for a moment, what are your thoughts about David Norris?
Well, firstly, I respected the decision he made, and I would know David Norris very well. I spent a term in the Senate with him, and he is a man of very good quality and a decent person. But I think his judgment was completely wrong. From the point of view of a 15-year-old child being abused and raped, it doesn't bear thinking about. You know, I think of my children or other children that I know. So I think that he made the right decision. I think he had to go.
Let's put you in that position for a moment, because as a elected member of the Oireachtas, you will be approached from time to time by people who would like you to try and influence the outcome of a court decision or plead for clemency. Do you draw the line at a particular crime?
Absolutely. I would never interfere with the judiciary ever, because that's beyond me. I would consider it's separate powers entirely. I've often made representation for people looking for jobs, etc., etc. I've done character references for people, but I believe that a line should be drawn in relation to representing people in relation to the judiciary.
Gael Mitchell doesn't really share that view, though.
Well, however, in Gael Mitchell's situation is completely different. He is against the death penalty. He's completely against it, and I believe two wrongs don't make a right. So he wrote in support of this guy who had murdered two people and felt that he should get a longer prison service or hard labour or something.
This was a man
who
was opposed to abortion, and he shot a doctor and some other person outside
his bodyguard,
an abortion clinic.
outside an abortion clinic. And this
he
guy,
was on death row.
He was on death row, and he subsequently was murdered with a lethal injection.
But is the principle not the same, in that a politician is trying to influence the outcome of a judicial process, mitigating the consequences of a crime?
I suppose what you're saying is true, but I suppose what he was doing was writing on behalf of not killing somebody, do you know, because I believe two wrongs don't make right. And I think that if that guy was to have done hard labour for the rest of his life and stay in jail and in prison for the rest of his life, it would have been better. Why would you kill somebody? I think it's wrong. I believe that death penalty is completely wrong.
Ian, do you see that as the difference, or is the difference that one is called gay and the other is gay?
No, I don't actually. I agree with Nicky in the death penalty is wrong as far as I'm concerned, and when I read up on it, I wouldn't be politically motivated to any party, but I think if everybody writes to governors of Florida, you know, to say please spare this man's life, whatever he did was horrific, whether it be murder or rape or, you know, whatever it is, the death penalty is wrong. I do think politicians and the judiciary should stay apart.
And is that not the principle?
Yeah, well, personally, I don't think that what Gael Mitchell was doing was asking for clemency on behalf of Mr. Hill, who was the man who murdered those two people. But what he was asking for was not to use the death penalty. Like, yes, the man has done wrong. He's not questioning the judgment of the judge. What he was imploring was, Gael Mitchell himself, I agree as well. I'm against the death penalty. I don't think it should be done.
Right, so you accept the distinction here.
Yeah, the punishment is the punishment in Florida, but as well as that, in Florida, if you murder somebody, you're going to get the death penalty, and it doesn't work. It's not a deterrent.
No.
People are still, how many people are on death row in Florida? You know, people are still murdering everybody. It's the gun laws, it's the other laws that the powers that be, you know, the political side can look at changing gun law as a result of the judiciary's recommendations. But I think what Gay Mitchell was asking for was like a review of the death penalty, not of the thing. But I think
so
Ireland
accepting your argument on that, coming back to David Norris, where he did plead for clemency and he had a connection to the person he was pleading clemency for, as was his former partner. If that had been a straight man making the same argument, do you think it would have been perceived in the same way?
I hope not. I really do hope not. I do think what David Norris did was wrong. No matter what the crime, as a member of a parliament, you shouldn't interfere in other constituencies' laws. Firstly, secondly, even in Ireland, somebody gets 10 years for dangerous driving. A politician getting involved is really murky waters. Don't go there. It's not about the crime. I think it was the principle of it. He shouldn't have got involved. Ireland lost out on what I thought was going to be a very exciting president because he made a human error. He admitted he was wrong. I respect the fact that he stepped down. I just hope that the remaining candidates are going to be we've lost a huge opportunity through a politician doing something he really, really shouldn't have done. But I think it was the intervention in a judiciary decision is what he shouldn't have done. The crime is the crime. The crime's a horrible crime. But in any situation, politicians and the judiciary should really stay apart, and I don't think it's to do with the fact that David Norris was gay.
Be that as it may, we're now left with Mary Davis, Sean Gallagher, Gay Mitchell and Michael D. Higgins. Am I leaving anybody out?
Well, there could be Dana.
Could be Dana.
All kinds of everything.
Finnean McGrath indicated that they have a list of three. Yes,
Yeah.
whomever these three might be. Does any one of them turn you on, Attracta?
Well, I must say I would be voting for Mary Davis at the moment. She would be my top priority.
Why?
Well, I suppose. Well, first of all, I've had her to my business, and she was in Offaly at the start of her campaign, and as part of EdWib, she came to our group and spoke to all our ladies, and I have to say she was super. She was very positive about a lot of. She just gave a great vibe that she knew what she was about and knew. Like her whole background as with Special Olympics and everything, I just felt that she just has it.
Well, I suppose what qualities do we want in a president? We need somebody who is intellectually capable of deciding on constitutional challenges if they come before them on the desk.
Yeah.
You need somebody who has a grace, a diplomacy.
Statesman.
Yeah,
Yes.
statesman, stateswoman sort of persona.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Does Mary Davis encapsulate that, notwithstanding the great work she has done for Special Olympics, but does that in itself qualify her to be the president?
Yeah, I do think she has it. I do think, you know, she's very involved in the whole running of. She knows exactly what's going on. I think we've had a spectacular president as in Mary McAleese, and I do think, you know, whoever's going to go in there to follow up, it has got a serious job on their hands, and I do think Mary Davis has that in her, that she can do it. Yeah.
Maybe an advantage to the others would be, Mary Mitchell, Mary D. Higgins, Mary Gallagher. You know, because Mary seems to have, a
Well,
way
I
into
actually
the
think
arts.
that's a disadvantage for Mary Davis, that she is Mary, you know, and I do think, you know, it isn't helping her that, like, you know, people are saying, do we need another Mary, you know, and that is probably a little disadvantage to Mary Davis. But at the same time, I do think we have to put that aside, and the fact that she's a woman, like, people are sort of saying, we need a change, we need a man. Do we really need a man? Do we not need another Mary? You know, there's, like, we have to think of the person, not of where, you know, do we need another politician?
Well, therein lies the big question.
You know, do we need another politician, really? You know?
Nicky would say yes.
Yes, of course.
By the way, has Enda Kenny gotten over Pat Cox not getting the nomination?
Well, who said that Enda Kenny was supporting Pat Cox?
Well,
Enda
I know
Kenny
he-
hasn't come out and
come
said.
off it.
Well, he hasn't, in fairness.
He hasn't said it.
He said it in the parliamentary party that he was not going to back anybody, and he was certainly not going to tell any of us who he was backing. So I believe him.
And he doesn't always have to grin like a Cheshire cat, isn't that his great line? Even though he normally grins like a Cheshire cat.
But I believe the president should be somebody who's enterprising, who's has a kind of social justice conscience, and Gay Mitchell has both of those, and I believe that it should be somebody who's very, very responsible, and Gay Mitchell has a wealth of experience from the European Parliament, from being the Lord Mayor of Dublin, from being a minister, he's been involved in politics since 1981.
Michael D. Higgins has a vast array of experience as well.
Absolutely, and he is a great person. I have great time for Michael D. Higgins.
Who do you fancy, Ian?
What? Excuse me.
Are
We're still talking about Senator Norris. No, I actually have a huge admiration for Gay Mitchell and for Michael D. Higgins. I think for the arts with Michael D. Higgins and social justice with Gay Mitchell. But I personally would like to see an independent, but with the qualities that Nicky's talking about. I'm waiting for the third man to come in, or the new person.
Yeah.
I'm not excited by any of them, even though I like Sean Gallagher. I've saw him at a disability awareness, and I've met Mary Davis as well, and I've been inspired by what they say, as with the politicians. But I'm still I haven't made my mind up, and I want to see who the next person is.
Who could that third person be?
Anyone but Dana. Really, personally, I heard Dana was stepping in. I think we need somebody that represents the people right now, because the people now, with the new government that's in, the government has to deal with the legislative issues. I think the people need a lift. They need somebody responsible, somebody that's going to be the captain of the ship. I've a lot of friends in the volunteering sector who are volunteers that inspire me every day to be a better person, to try harder, to say, look, we're all in this together. I think if we had somebody there that could basically, they'd be educated and advised anyway by their council, so they don't have to be a barrister or, like Mary Robinson.
They need a degree of cop on.
Oh, a big degree of cop on, and a willingness to work and willingness to ask the questions.
And to be an ambassador worldwide.
Yeah.
That's
but it's to get the right person with those qualities, and I think Mary Robinson, Mary McAleese both did a very good job. It doesn't matter to me whether it's man, woman, homosexual, straight, black, white, doesn't really matter to me once they represent the people.
That'd be cool. A black president in Ireland.
A black gay president.
A black gay president.
But anybody
from the travelling community.
Exactly.
Let's hit all the prejudices at once.
Exactly. Yes. Inclusive society is what we have here anyway, so I think we should show that there's no barriers in Ireland.
Okay, let's see, can we give away some money? We'll be coming back to some of the other big stories of the week in a moment. There were 2 winners in Thursday's Rehab Radio Bingo. €300 in the kitty right now. Best of luck.
Hi, this is Albert with your lucky Rehab Radio Bingo numbers for Friday, the 5th of August, this week 7, and today we're playing on the yellow page of your Rehab Radio Bingo book. Eyes down, the very best of luck. Here are today's 10 numbers. Our first number is 73, 7 and 3, 73. Our second number is 69, 6 and 9, 69. Our third number is on its own, number 5. It's on its own, number 5. Our fourth number is 32, 3 and 2, 32. Our fifth number is 67, 6 and 7, 67. Our sixth number is 23, 2 and 3, 23. Our seventh number is 62, 6 and 2, 62. Our eighth number is number 59, 5 and 9, 59. Our ninth number is 29, 2 and 9, 29. And our 10th and final number is number 90, 90, 90. We will now repeat today's 10 numbers. Number 73, number 69, number 5, number 32, number 67, number 23, number 62, number 59, number 29, and number 90. Also, our Happy Free Friday draw will now take place, and the number is 1708. That's 1708. If you have that number, you can win and share in today's Free Friday amount, which is €1,100. So if you have a winning panel on your page, please call 05793 22023 and make your claim. The Midlands 103 Rehab Radio Bingo is independently scrutinised by Superintendent Benny Sheridan, retired.
Be a winner with Rehab Radio Bingo on Midlands 103.
The pollen count on Midlands 103 with Gildee's Pharmacy, Kinnegad and Killucan. Helping you ease the sneeze.
Who needs a spiel from your man when it's the wily women of Ireland who are the real experts on spying a bargain? Like 11890 for directory inquiries. Fast, friendly and fierce great value. 11890 even text you your number for free. So think mighty, call 90. See 11890.ie.
Looking for some great value family entertainment this weekend? Then look no further than your local Extravision. Choose from the latest and greatest new releases like Limitless, Unknown, Source Code and The Lincoln Lawyer. And save big money with our big value movie bundle deals, including our new Kids Treats box. There really is something for everyone, so get down to your local Extravision today.
Are you a singer, a dancer, or even a comedian? Would you like to take part in Midlands Got Talent and scoop the massive top prize of €3,000? Application forms are available from Clara Sport and Leisure Centre. Closing date for entries is Sunday 14th of August. Entry fee €20. Do your thing and be the winner of Midlands Got Talent 2011 at Clara Sport and Leisure.
Have you suffered an injury that wasn't your fault? If so, contact Byrne, Carlin Cunningham Solicitors on 090 647 8433. That's Byrne, Carlin Cunningham, your personal injury solicitors. Byrne, Carlin Cunningham Solicitors.ie. In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage of any award or settlement.
Ulysses' 40th anniversary kicks off with 3 days of live music, both indoors and out on August 5th, 6th and 7th. On Sunday from 5:30pm, Macy South, Best Foot Forward and Seamus Moore are live till late. Plus, on Sunday afternoon from 1pm, 30 barbecues will be in action for Come Barbecue With Me, raising money for Streetwise Buildings. It's a free music weekend all weekend long at Hugh Lynch's 40th anniversary on August 5th, 6th and 7th.
It's final reductions and Burgess of Atlow massive summer sale. Now with up to 70% off. But hurry, sale must end this weekend.
The Trade and Recruitment Guide on Midlands 103.
On Midlands 103.
With Miller's Hardware, Portlaoise.
Now, if you want to advertise on the Trade and Recruitment Guide, you'll find all the details on midlands103.com, or you can call Amy on 0818 300 103. A couple of jobs to mention here. If you want to train to be a florist on a part-time basis with night, day and weekend courses available at the SB School of Floristry, which is the only floristry school in the Midlands, certificates will be issued upon completion of the course, and you can get details from Siobhan on 086 408 9642. A qualified beauty therapist with 2 years experience is sought for a busy salon in Tullamore. Please send a CV to Pauline Dolan at Pauline's Beauty and Day Spa in Market Square in Tullamore. Field sales personnel are needed for an immediate start to cover the Midlands area in a growing market. The company needs enthusiastic and motivated candidates to develop new customers who want to earn genuine commission for their strong work ethic. Previous sales experience is not required, but a can-do attitude is a must. Send an email with a CV to michael at premierdigital.ie. P&D qualified brick, block and stone laying contractor. Excellent work guaranteed on houses, extensions, garages and more at prices from 60 cent per block. Pat is on 086 376 1588. Self-employment opportunity available with Ireland's newest comedy paper. Positions available for sellers and distributors. The irishgutterpress.com is the website, or you can text 086 849 1889. And staff are required at a 24-hour service station. The ideal candidates being capable of working on their own initiative and having retail experience. Send your CV to jobs at m6servicecentre.ie.
Miller's Hardware, your local distributor of Husqvarna hedge cutters and chainsaws, and sponsors of the Trade and Recruitment Guide. Millers.ie. The Midlands Today Show with Will Faulkner.
Midlands 103.
On our Friday panel today, Attracta Mongey, chairperson of the business section of Edway, I inadvertently promoted her earlier, Nicky McFadden, Fine Gael TD for Longford, Westmeath, and O Flynn from the Westmeath Volunteer Centre. And we're going through some of the big stories of the week. Again, if you want to react to David Norris pulling out of the presidential race, as many people have, 083 30 10 103 is our text line. By the way, Niall in the garage says, Ian for president.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Fair enough. Let's have Joe Duffy suggest somebody else. Mary Davis has a good profile in the country. What had Mary McAleese before her presidency? Was she not a virtual unknown?
She was a human rights campaigner,
She was a human rights campaigner.
She did an awful lot for the the people without voices.
And she was an RT presenter.
Not everybody agrees on the distinction, by the way, between getting somebody off death row into a jail sentence and trying to reduce a jail sentence.
Yeah, but I think what the argument I was trying to make was Gay Mitchell's argument was about that man Hill. What I think my opinion is, I'm against the death penalty. I don't think it's a deterrent though anymore, but I don't think two wrongs don't make it right.
Yeah,
that was just my point on that.
Let's move on to something a little bit different. And now Nicky works in the public sector. Ian, are you public or private?
I am paid by the public sector, but I'm a private employee.
Okay, I'm confused.
I'm funded, but I'm not a government. I'm not a. I don't work. I'm not a civil servant.
Do you get 70 days off per year?
No.
Okay.
No. I'd love to though.
Attracta, you definitely work in the private sector.
Oh yes.
How many days off do you? Well, you work for yourself, so how many do you take?
Well, I've just come back from 2 weeks holidays, and that's about it now for the year.
And on a statutory basis, employees are entitled to only 20 days, I think.
That's right. 20 days. Yeah.
Well, the story this week was about FOSS workers who, as they approach retirement, are entitled to claim up to 70 days paid per year. Unions are reluctant to give this up. I suppose anybody would be reluctant to give up a perceived entitlement that they have. How does that make you feel, Attracta?
Oh, I wish. And I'm sure my staff would have reading that. I'm sure they wish too. You know, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. 70 days. What in God's name? And we're paying it? I have huge problems with it. Yeah, it's mad. Absolute mad. It has to be looked into.
Well, Nicky's a TD. What do you want her to do?
Go on, Nicky.
Well, I suppose it's like 5 months of paid leave, essentially. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And I am aghast at SIP2 advocating for this on behalf of the FOSS workers. I think it's just bad practices like this has our country the way it is presently. And if we don't eradicate this sort of behaviour and make everybody equal, like it's to acclimatise people who are impending retirement, I just think it is bizarre. I think it's bizarre. That's the only word I can use to describe it.
It annoys me as well, again, because this is a private radio station rather than RTE, and we know the holidays they get. But at the same time, if you had that entitlement and you felt you deserved it and you had worked in FOSS all your life and it was par for the course, you wouldn't be thrilled at giving it up. Can you not understand why they resisted, Ian?
I don't really care why they resisted. I think it's fundamentally wrong. In the Volunteer Centre, we've men who've recently been retired at the age of 65 with no warning, no preparation, nothing to do with like living an active retirement or anything like that, and they feel totally worthless. And we're there trying to build them back up in their confidence and get them out there and about and doing something that they want to do and contributing something back. The luxury of having 44 extra days to prepare you for a state pension, and probably the money to actually top it up as well, because it'll be the senior guys that are going to get this. Like at the top level it's 44, so these are the people that have been earning a lot of money. They're going to get a golden handshake like Mr. Fingleton got with his watch. I think it's disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful. I get 24 days a year. I build up my toil if I want any more from going to meetings in the evenings like Nicky and when we're all in meetings. I just think it's so wrong. I think the arrogance of SIP2 to go public to try and defend this is unbelievable. They're supposed to be representing the workers, and I don't think they're representing the workers. Their workers is everybody who's working, and it's not a fair playing field. So how are people supposed to believe in the unions if they're fighting for something that's totally undefensible?
Can it be changed, Nicky?
Of course.
Under Croke Park?
Of course, it has to be changed.
But can it be?
Of course it can be changed.
How?
Because Croke Park is being reviewed as we speak, so it is something that I believe should be changed.
Is Croke Park going to last?
Well, I think it certainly will have to be changed. There are lots of issues because we don't have the money. We're bankrupt. So we're going to have to change all of these practices. And sadly, if the money was there, we just need to get better value for money. now.
But like we were talking earlier, our opening item was about the health service and about what is now effectively an embargo on recruitment across the entire service, because the budget in the first 6 months of the year has run €200 million over target.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a financial manager in the HSE, you can't reduce pay. There are certain restrictions around the numbers, so they have to try and fizzle down the number of staff through embargoes. That's because of the Croke Park Agreement.
Yes, and it's the same with teachers, and the same with the saving of 75 million by increasing the class sizes, because they can't interfere with teachers' salaries or pay conditions.
So when you say it's being reviewed, it will be the Troika, so-called, who review it. And I presume they'll turn around to the government and say this has to go out the window, or it has to stay, or it has to be changed.
Yes.
So when will that happen?
And well, I suppose when we go back in September, we're going back on the 14th of September. We have been sitting 50% more this term than we had last year. And it's about productivity from our point of view, putting in place legislation that is going to reform our public service and do the right thing by our people.
Where do you stand on Croke Park?
I think it has to be revised. I think they have to change. There's a lot of things, as you say, will it last? I hope it does, but I think...
You hope it does. You're
the reason I'm saying...
bankrolling people in Falls getting 70 days holidays.
What are we going to do? Is it starting all over again? Is it, where do we go from here? What is going to happen? Something has to be done. I know, can they just change, as Nicky has said, changes need to happen. And I think that's all we can do, and hope that they can adjust a lot of the things that...
I think Croke Park should listen to the Phoenix Park Agreement. When the new government was brought in, everyone accepts changes is needed. For too long... I respect public service workers. I'm not taking away from that. But this whole agreement that everybody else is being screwed, but we can't go near the public service workers, right? They do a great job and everything like that, but everybody is being nailed to the wall. We were talking about the holidays there. I have a friend who owns a company. He's not getting a holiday. He's trying to keep his head above the water. No holidays for him. He goes to Foss. What supports is he going to get? Because he was self-employed and the social protection. He's got nowhere. So everybody is prepared and everyone's working harder, and I just can't understand how they can defend and how they're making it difficult for the Croke Park Agreement to be adjusted to be fair and equitable and make value for money. People can give out all they want about the HSE. I've seen them. I have a son with special needs. They work very hard and they do their best, and they're out the door with the work.
They're also low-paid public servants. And
members of the CPSU.
Exactly, and some people who are in receipt of family income supplement, that they're so low paid. So it's, I suppose, what we're talking about are the people who are creaming it.
Well, if you're a public servant and you're sitting and you're screaming at the radio and saying that we don't know what we talk about, 0818 300 103 is our phone number. Let's wrap up on something a lot lighter, though. Reported in the Irish Independent yesterday, the BlackBerry has been jokingly referred to as the crackberry for some time, but now evidence is emerging of smartphone addiction. So, Ian, would you describe your toilet habits to us?
Well, I was just, when we were reading it, I was reading this article. I was sitting on my toilet having my me time because I don't get very much of it. I just go there for space.
Very bad. We don't need to know this.
In this world, like when we're all very busy, you get very little time to think for yourself and get a bit of space. So you'd sit in a cubicle and just get 5 minutes. And I was reading on the Irish RT website about this addiction to smartphones. So I just said, I put the phone away. I said, I'm not one of them. But I do think...
But I have to confess, I'm often the same. In fact, I'll go to the toilet, realise I haven't got the phone, come back out and go back in.
Exactly.
And the me time thing, it is nearly a ritual every morning at about 10 to 9 before the programme starts. Go into the cubicle, try to get your head together.
Exactly. By not thinking, by reading, I'm not thinking. But as well as that, social media's got so big. We were just talking there in the 80s when there was a recession. We were poor before the recession in the 80s, so we didn't really realise what was happening, but we weren't getting the information about what's happening. And now what we have these days is you've got your news, CNN, Sky, everything on your phone. You can check out what the news is. You can look up on blogs and get the wrong information as well, and then share it on Facebook, and other people get the wrong information. So a lot of people who are out there trying to rectify or clarify what is the truth, what's going on, whether it's the Rothschild family is causing all this or it's, the big company. We don't really know. But I think people want information. People these days have been given the information. They think they have the power, or they feel they have the power then to make a decision. And I think that's what people felt they didn't have before. I'm not sure if it's an Irish culture thing. I'm pretty sure it's international. Smartphones are here to stay.
Are you addicted to yours, Attracta?
Absolutely not. No, I'm not. I'm definitely not at all. But I actually do think we are overusing them altogether. Like, I remember the 80s. I remember recession. I remember we had... I was in business at the time. It sort of went over our heads. We didn't really realise we were so badly off. Now we just know too much. I think we're scared.
Yeah.
I think there's just too much hype out there about it. Let's get on with it.
Stock market's crashing all over the world. We don't need to know. Don't tell us that.
We didn't know that in all those years ago. We didn't have that information. And I do think there is too much on it now. All I do is my little text, and I'm quite happy to do it. I read my emails. That's about it.
What's this text thing you speak of? Apparently you can make phone calls with these things as well. Yeah, apparently.
Really? Yeah.
But it's something Alex and I were talking about, where we're sitting in the sitting room or even in the bed, and a couple of years ago you'd have a conversation.
That's right.
Imagine you talk to a real human being, but no, why do that when you can talk to somebody who's on the far side of the world? I've
had conversations with my wife on Facebook, and she was on the opposite side of the table.
That's sad.
That's sad.
But it was slagging each other, but for everyone else to see. But and people, all my friends and all our friends knew. It's like, she's right in front of you. Just say it to her, to her face.
I also think, even for children, I think it's so unhealthy. I really think every child.
You're just showing your age.
Yeah, honestly, I'm only 42. So, yeah.
22.
Yeah.
You are.
Thanks for that shoppy arm.
As long as you didn't correct me, you're all right.
That's all I would have said. 22 for you. Yeah. Nicky, where do you stand on smartphones?
Well, I have a BlackBerry and an iPhone. Which is really bad. So bad.
Spot the politician's salary line.
I am completely addicted to both of them. But I suppose I try and monitor it a bit, because it is bad manners when you're socialising and you're with people to either be on the mobile or texting or whatever. My father goes absolutely mad because he says, "Will you ever leave that bloody thing down out of your hand?" So, and in Leinster House, protocol, I'm on the Protocol and Privileges Committee, so we're trying to ban them out of the House.
Is this just for Michael Healy-Rae or everybody?
Everybody, because people bring them in and they're tweeting and texting, and it takes away from the discussion, and people aren't concentrating, and so I have to say it's great from the point of view of reading the news or reading the Irish Times online. I can listen to the radio. It's fantastic, but I think there has to be a line drawn in the sand from the point of view of...
It's not good for your mental health.
No.
Because I was lucky enough to get 2 weeks holidays, and I was abroad last week for 4 days, and I didn't have access to the internet because I didn't want to pay the roaming charges. So
and did you leave your phone at home?
Oh no, I left it. Well, I brought the phone, but left it in the safe and went out to the beach and whatever. So I wasn't in the loop about what was happening in the economy, about some of the terrible crimes being committed, and about the day-to-day stuff. And I just felt better. Because it's like what you were saying, it passes over you or passed over you in the 80s.
Well, you have headspace. You can think about other things, about the beauty of the world, or about decent people, or, and have quality time with your family, because otherwise you're kind of completely addicted to it and stuck into it, and it's something certainly that I have to monitor very carefully.
Ian, when I check status updates tonight, because you and I are friends on Facebook, am I going to see you at all hours saying whatever your thoughts are?
Oh yeah, well that's not from a smartphone, that's from a laptop or a computer that I do.
Because that's so much better.
Yeah, because I cool like that. But I had a similar story, but I went to Galway and I forgot my charger. So Ali just said, put it in the suitcase, just leave it there. And I nearly had a nervous breakdown because I didn't know what was happening. But after like a couple of hours, I was okay. But I do think it is a mental health issue that people should be able to turn off. I'm a social junkie and I'm a media junkie that I'd like to know what's happening. But I've realised when I turned off the phone that the world didn't stop. Facebook kept going. You got to keep, everything's in perspective. I'm still going to be on Facebook tonight, but I've changed sort of the way I do things. Like, I go onto MySpace now as well, and
We're going to leave it there. By the way, Ian, you go out the door left and just to the right. That's where you find the loo.
I've GPS'd it, I've tagged it.
Ian O Flynn of the Westmeath Volunteer Centre, Nicky McFadden, Fine Gael TD for Longford Westmeath, Attracta Mongey, chairperson of the business section of Edwib and owner of Diamond and Pearls in Edenderry. Thank you all very much for coming in to us.